these are the 6 guys who are returning from last year. Obviously, Nick Bolton kind of is the front man here. He was in a contract year last year, got paid, and obviously Spags loves his green dot and Nick Bolton. But obviously, before we kind of get to kind of talk about the entirety of the room, the guys who are coming back, this is a soundbite that stood out to me, and I wanted you to kind of I want you and I to kind of look at it and kind of rejoice. See, like, yes, guys, this is who we re-signed. This is a soundbite that kind of tells you so much about Nick Bolton and how much the guy eats, sleeps, football. I mean, that's all the guy has is football in his mind. So this is a soundbite. I give you a preface here. You're going to hear the questions asked by him. But they're asking about Gelati and Norman Lott, what he thinks about those two. And Bolton talks about how he went back and watched the rookie minicamp. So apparently they get rookie minicamp on their iPads, and he watched it. And
leader, baby, that's a leader. That's what a leader does, right there. Yeah. He want to know who his warriors are.
Yeah. So when I heard this, I'm like, okay, we have to talk about this. We're going to talk about linebackers today. We got to talk about this soundbite. So this is Nick Bolton.
You got the full. Now you got the full thing.
Yeah, we do, baby. Yeah, we do.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So here,
yeah. Go ahead.
So here's Nick Bolton, just kind of showing how much he loves football and how much he's the leader of the defense here. So this is Nick Bolton.
All right. Nick, just considering the green dot, the top 2 defensive draft rookies, Norman Lott and Gelati, how do you feel they came along and maybe what their readiness might be for training camp?
Yeah, I was super surprised, man, of how smart those guys were, how focused they were, how self-driven they were. I actually got the chance to kind of look at them in the rookie minicamp they had before we got down here. I understand, like, conceptually wise, how difficult it is coming from college and playing a multiple scheme here. So those guys are picking it up, making calls, making reads, and giving communication back to the linebackers, letting them know they got the call and stuff. And me with the green dot, it means a lot. So you know everybody's on the same page, and they're all doing that through their camp, but then through OTAs. And so I'm super excited for those 2 guys for sure. We got a lot of other guys that are contributing as well, but those 2 for sure are doing great.
In what way did you get a look at them during rookie minicamp?
We got it on our iPads, and so everybody can watch the plays and stuff like that. And I know what plays are called by looking at it, so I kind of understand if guys are doing the right thing or not. And those guys have maybe little to none mistakes and mental errors, and so as you progress, you want to limit the mental errors and just play fast. And football's not perfect, but the mental part can be.
You always do that, even the practices that you're here like that?
Yeah, for sure. Even when I was dinged up or out not playing, it's kind of good to just keep your mind refreshed. Some things change year to year, so I just want to make sure that I'm up to key on stuff like that. And that might be something we talked about in OTAs, on virtual meetings. Then they come here and they do it on the grass, and you're like, oh, shoot, I forgot about that. So it's just good to get a mental refresher so you're just up to speed on everything.
I mean, that guy, if you're going to pay somebody big money, it's going to be a guy who's prepping and studying, even the rookies who are coming in, because each wants to be on top of things. I mean, that's just what does that tell you, JD, about Nick Bolton? Things we already knew, obviously, but this kind of even goes beyond that, because this is like dedication on top of dedication.
Nick Bolton is the leader of the defense. And so, like I said before, he needs to know who is fighting with him. He needs to know exactly what the IQ is, bringing them up to speed, them also to retaining, the type of information that they need to be successful. And also, too, he was looking at, the calls. Are they making the calls right to the linebackers? Is the communication seamless like it should be? And all those things are important, especially with a young guy coming in to be, especially if you're going to get something out of him. So we know Gelati, Norman Lott, these guys are going to come out there and they're going to play. Bassa, these guys are going to play immediately. And so he wants to know if these guys are going to be able to fit. And so as a leader, which also has commitment, you got to have vision. You got to have a clear plan as far as what it is that you want the guys around you to do, and who you want them to be. And so if somebody is not up to speed, then it is his job to get them there. And he understands that. So when you talk about commitment, it's dedication, but also too, man, it's responsibility. That's what he's doing. That's what he understands. And so him being the green dot, I've said this before, and Spag said the same thing. Nick Bolton he's my brain actor on the field. That's who Nick Bolton is. So, and we got to talk about, like, that's another thing. Try to bring another guy in to train him to be, your brain and your thought process through everything takes time. It takes time, especially when you got somebody in the building that can do those things and an effective linebacker. So that's what tells me about him, man. Yeah, like G-Pick said, Bolton's a field general. No question about it. We understand his leadership qualities. We know his playmaking ability. He's displayed all those things and then some to a high level. And that's why we like him. That's why we love him. And so this is just, I wouldn't think or expect anything less than that, Marcus, from a Nick Bolton, really.
And the one thing that I've seen, because a lot of people kind of were just blown away by that. I think I saw, it was a former player who commented on, because it was a clip that I saw on Twitter. A former player commented on that, saying that like what you have right there is a testament to who the player is in Nick Bolton. I forgot who it was. But they were talking about how like that's not what him watching rookie tape.
Yeah,
most veterans aren't doing that, just for the fact that like because from there's a standpoint of I'm gonna, whatever changes are gonna happen, I'm gonna see in a couple of weeks at OTAs or minicamp. To go back and watch the rookies are two things. It shows you, I want to get to know these guys, like you kind of mentioned, the Gelati, the Norman Lotts. I want to know how they're trusted with linebackers, and also too, you want to know what kind of changes have been made, and you're going to see that with some of these the rookie linebackers. But it just tells you a leader. People who were questioning so much about Nick Bolton, and it's like, no, guys, that's a real. Not only is he a young guy who's a leader on this team, but this is a guy who's a real deal dude who wants to be able to be kind of like a coach out there, in which like a green dot linebacker in a lot of ways is a coach on the field, but like that kind of shows you. I mean, this guy is all that in a bag of chips, man. I mean, that's just like, if you were uncertain about the Chiefs paying him, watching that, I hope you were like, you know what? I'm a Nick Bolton guy. I hope him saying that changed a lot of people's minds on that, because he's not just a guy who plays and dominates and gets tackles. It's more than that with him.
You would hope so. And like me and my nephew always say, like, man, it sounds good, but it don't rhyme right, because you're gonna have some Nick Bolton haters, and they're gonna stay Nick Bolton haters, and it's a shame, because what you don't do is you can't appreciate who he is, what he's been able to do out on the field, and that's the issue. That's the problem, because when you're looking at your prototypical middle linebacker, you're looking for a guy who's 6'3", 6'4", you know, like a Fred Warner. That's what you look for. Look for a guy like that, right? And so that's what they're thinking. Oh, he's not big enough. Oh, he don't move fast enough. And Nick, all he does is just play. He makes plays. He's made plays ever since he's been here. Has he gotten beat? Sure. We all get beat on in NFL. So Fred Warner too. And so when we sit there and we think about as far as like his contribution for everything on the field, like you cannot take that away from him whatsoever, because he has been absolutely vital to what we do and our success on defense. And so he puts everybody in the right place. So I want everybody to understand this. At middle linebacker, him being Spag's brain, he puts everybody in place where they need to be. He communicates that to everyone. The secondary, the safety kind of does that, but they still got to hear from Nick. Nick's still the one that's saying, hey, man, you know, what are we doing? What we got? And he knows everybody needs to be in area-wise. And so it's hard to replace a guy like that. It just is. It just is. So one thing, you know how we do, Marcus, look, we're going to put everything in order. You're going to tell the truth about it. And so, yes, hey, Nick Bolton don't have to be 6'4". He doesn't. But when you start looking at leading the Chiefs in tackling, look who's done that since he's been here. And I'm talking about, it's not even close. You're talking about middle linebackers for the past few years, okay? Nick Bolton has shown up. He came out of SEC as a leading tackler. There was a reason because of that. Why? Because he was a ball hawk. He knew how to scan the offense and know what guys are doing. So we're talking about intelligence as well. And so he has all those things wrapped up in one, and we know he's an athletic guy, right? So if you want to talk about Nick Bolton and, you know, getting beat on some passes and stuff like that, sure, okay, but do that. But I'll tell you what, Nick Bolton is vital to what we do. He's imperative to our defense. He is. And so, you know, when we talk about all the other guys that surround him, Nick Bolton has got to know what everybody is doing. They have to. So,
I mean, you play. Obviously, there was no iPads back then where you guys could access like rookie minicamp from, you know, wherever you're training in the off season. I mean, how many guys you did? For me, you know, that probably would have watched that. I mean, because I feel like that's not a lot of players are watching rookie minicamp. Because I mean, think about it, most of rookie minicamp, I maybe 10 of those guys you're actually you're gonna play with on the during the season. Majority of that stuff you're not gonna know any of those guys. I mean, seemingly it's a waste of a watch because most of those guys aren't gonna be there in a month when you come back to go to OTAs and minicamp.
Yeah, sure, right, but I always say this. We don't know. We don't know who's going to make the roster, who's not going to make the roster. We don't know exactly where everything's going to flow. And so we start going through some of these names, okay? And I'm going to say this. The linebacker core, this is going to be some changes here, man. There's going to be some changes. And the reason we went and got Bassa is because I do believe they were kind of waiting for guys to kind of step up. They waiting for guys to do a little bit, to display a little bit more than what they thought and expected. My thing is, hey, this is going to be a huge display, okay, in camp on who's going to make the squad, like who's good enough to make the squad, who's good enough to stay here at linebackers, man. Because there's a couple names on here, right? Now, look, this ain't nothing against guys, but this is the NFL. Hey, man, what have you done for me lately? That's what they want to know. And they're going to know what you've done on special teams. They want to know what you've done when you come in the game. They want to know how you've been doing, also, too, in the meeting room, right? Have you picked this thing up? When some of these guys go out, when they come in, what do? How do you perform? And people need to understand this though too. Let's make this clear. Linebackers is not like one of those positions that get hurt a lot. They just don't. Okay, so the main guys are going to be probably the main guys pretty much all year, Marcus. That's pretty much kind of the same thing across the board. It really is. It's almost a rare thing that linebackers get hurt. Linebackers get hurt. Guess what they do, Marcus? They play hurt. They come in and play hurt. Nick Bolton had the big old what's that, the forearm thing? Where
the club.
Yeah, the club on his. So, shoot. I mean, it's just that's one of those positions. It's one of those positions where you got to get in where you fit in, okay? And if you're not that guy, you're gonna be sitting on the bench for a lot. You're gonna be playing a whole lot of special teams, but as far as actual play against the pass or the run. Hey, those guys are going to get the reps. So, elbow brace to us, right? Justin Bryant, elbow brace. Yeah, those are look. The linebackers are tough for a reason. That's why he came out with the guns. Mark was showing me one more time. So, I mess with y'all, but go ahead. Yeah.
Well, so obviously Bolton is the QB of the defensive backs, as said, and this as many of you guys said in the chat here. Yeah. And you mentioned some of these other guys. Let's kind of look at the guys who are returning, right? So you got Nick Bolton, Leo Chenal, Drew Tranquil. Obviously, I think the top three guys are set and forget. I think they're gonna stay in the team this year at least. But then we have the other three. You have Cole Christensen, Jack Cochran, and Cam Jones. Cochran and Cam Jones have gotten good amount of playing time. Week 18 games have stepped up in some situations over the last few years. The game that stands out to me is the Green Bay game a couple years ago where Cochran came in. But what do you make? So I'm assuming you think that those last three guys are going to have a hard time making the squad based on some of the new faces we brought in. What do you make of what do you make of the whole linebacker room that we have outside of Nick Bolton?
Okay, so what makes it difficult for a guy is. What is the drop-off when the starter goes out? It's going to be a huge drop-off as far as what they're asking for a guy to do, right? Is he fast enough? And even if he's not fast enough, does he have the quickness? Even if he's not quick enough, no. Does he know where to be? Does he know his assignments fully well? Does he know how to communicate to everybody else? Is there a huge hole once that guy, the starting guy, goes out? So when you're have to make decisions on a guy's ability and what he brings to the table, that's what you have to think about. Like, okay, well, shoot, if Nick Bolton's out of here, Drew Tranquil and Leo Chenal, what is our defense going to look like without those guys, right? What are they going to look like? Are we going to be better? Are we going to be okay? Are we going to be able to make it? Or the guy that we bring in, Is he going to be the weakest link out there on the field, right? Does he help hurt the integrity of what we're trying to do defensively in our scheme, right? Is he going to be the guy that when he comes in, they're sitting there thinking, we got to go after the guys immediately right now. Why? Because they've done scouting report. They know who he is. They know what his weaknesses are. We got to attack him immediately right there. So it's all based off of that, right, Marcus? So when we, these guys that we putting on here, that's what I'm looking at. I'm not going to say any names, but sometimes these guys may get in. They may not have the quickness as Nick Bolton. They may not cover, the lanes and the holes and the gaps like Nick Bolton does. And so you'll see it. You'll see it. So that's the way it works.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into the other guys we brought in because I do think that there is going to be kind of what you said. There is going to be kind of a little overhaul here, at least at the bottom of this list here. Generally, though, we'll get into who's going to stay, who's not going to stay. But generally, how many linebackers should a team keep? I mean, how many? Like I know you've done some projections over the last few weeks. How many linebackers do you have the Chiefs keeping?
Probably 5 to 6.
5 to 6. Okay.
Yeah, because those guys are going to play special teams all over the place, and so that's what you end up doing is probably having 6 guys. It's probably dress 5. It just depends. Depends on, like I said, those guys are pretty much kind of the special teams guys. You got to make tackles, right? So you need to do this stout, and also he's got some speed. He's got some ability to move his hips, be athletic enough to make open field tackles. And linebackers fit the bill for all those things, right? The reason you can't use too many DBs is because those guys will get thrown out the club, man. Them jokers don't like doing a lot of physical stuff. So what do you put there? You put maybe running back or, like I said, linebackers for sure, some tight ends get into there, maybe a safety or 2 at certain positions. And I'm just thinking this special teams wise as a special teams coach, right? So I'm thinking also, too, some of your starters going to have to play. Some of your starters going to, hey, here's what it is. Leo, yeah, you got it, right? That's who you are. You're the left guard on punt. So they just got to do double duty, baby. That's how it works.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.